So today we're going to look at Caged. Caged is an acronym. It stands for 5 chords, and they're all open chords. They're C, A major, G, E, and D. So they're all major chords. C, A, G, E, and D. Now once you know those chords, the first step with Caged is to try and turn all of those open chords into bar chords, movable chords, chords you can play anywhere on the neck. And my formula would be this. Say for instance, let's start with C. If I have the chord of C and I'm using finger 3, ring finger 2, middle finger, and finger 1, my pointer or index finger, what I need to do is free up this pointer finger here. So I'm going to replace it with my middle finger. So instead of fret 1 on the B string with my pointer, I'd go fret 1 on the B string with my middle finger. And then finger 3 and finger 4, the pinky, make up the rest of the chord. Now my pointer finger has to do the job of the nut, and it's going to, if I can practice this and just kind of lay it along the white nut there, still make sure that all of my fingers here are nice and curved and everything rings out. And then I can just move this up a fret at a time, walk it towards the bridge of the guitar, and just make sure that I'm getting a nice sound out of each string as well. So you can hear me, sometimes I'm busy playing, just kind of strumming them like that, but actually it's more useful to try it string by string. And just make sure everything's clean. So that's the C one. A is a little bit weird. There are multiple ways to play the A major. I can use fingers 1, 2, and 3, 2, 3, and 4. And when I turn it into a bar chord, I can actually also just kind of bar with my ring finger like this and play fret 2, fret 2, fret 2 with the same finger, which is pretty cool. So what I can do with this one is I've got my A like this. And let's do it with fingers 2, 3, and 4 first of all. So I've got 2, 3, and 4. And then I'm going to put my pointer finger back at the nuts like that and just make sure that's fine. Now when I come up to fret 1, I've got that pointer finger has to touch the A string and the E string here. Like that. And then moving on, I'm just going to keep that going. Now the trouble with this is there are two problems that I have with this. When I move this up to these high frets, it becomes increasingly difficult for me to keep those fingers 2, 3, and 4 actually in a vertical arrangement like they kind of want to slide and go to diagonal frets like that, which I don't want. So the more common way to actually play that A shape is to go with a straight ring finger and just kind of use 2 fingers like that. So pointer is covering the A and the E string, and my ring finger is covering the D, G, and B strings. Now, if you try this string to string, you may notice, say for instance, here I am at fret 5, so this would be an A shape at fret 5. And if you can see, I'm trying to actually get that E string to ring as well, which means that my ring finger has to sort of be double jointed at the first joint there, which takes a little bit of practice. So it's going to be very tempting when you start these chords. It's going to be very tempting to stick with this version of it. But I find even out at fret 5 here, that's not very far up the neck. And I still find that 2, 3, 4. It's not quick to get into, and it does want to slide diagonally. So that's the A chord. That's not great. The benefit of it is, if you can get into it, it's really quick to get into because it's only 2 fingers. But the other thing with it is, if you can't get that E string first of all to begin with, don't worry too much about it, because this note is actually a double of the note that you have on the D string. It's an octave higher, but essentially that chord still sounds okay just using the middle 4 strings. I'm not touching the top E string at all. Like that. Okay, let's look at the next part here. I'm going to move to a G chord here. This is one of the tougher chords to do. The same formula. I'm going to remove my pointer finger, free it up. Middle finger goes to where the pointer had been. Ring finger comes to the top. Pinky goes to the bottom. So from this, middle, pointer, ring at the bottom, to this, pointer comes off. Middle takes its place. Ring finger at the top. And pinky at the bottom. Like that. Now, this is where it gets good. So this pointer has to stretch back. And it's got to leave a nice corridor there, nice gap at fret 1. Hooray! And this is okay here, but then it really has to do the work here at fret 1. So I've got fret 4, fret 3, fret 1, fret 1, fret 1, and another fret 4 there. That's pretty monstrous. But the good news is this is as stretchy as it will get. And as you move it up, these gaps between your middle finger and your pointer finger will get easier to do. Again, not a quick chord to get into because it uses all 4 fingers, but it is extremely useful as a shape. And in future videos, I'll come and explore the idea that you don't really need to strum all 6 strings with this, but that's for another time. Like that. Just at the moment, just try and go through. Like that. The next chord is the E chord. This is one of the easiest bar chords to play. Got a straight bar chord there. Again, replace the pointer finger with the middle. Pinky is on the D string at fret 2. Ring finger is here on the A string at fret 2. And this pointer finger now will do all of the 6 strings, and you can practice this by putting it along the nut side like that. Like that. Going to move it to fret 1. Fret 2. Like that. Not too bad at all. Now, it's important to notice that if you can see my thumb hanging out behind here, the thumb is trying to be opposite my middle finger. If my thumb moves over to the headstock like this and it's pointing towards the headstock, you can see how my pointer finger is going to want to bend, my pinky gets shorter. So with this one, I'm trying to push that wrist down and really try and make sure I've got a nice straight pointer finger. Okay, last one, D chord. Like that. Again, same formula. I'm going to take the pointer finger away, put the middle finger where the pointer had been. Pinky goes there. Ring finger completes the triangle, the D triangle, and we've got the same sound. Pointer would be, if you stretch it back to the nut here on the D string, that gives you an idea of what this chord would look like. And now let's move it to fret 1. So it's going to go 1, fret 3, fret 4, fret 3, like that. Okay, and this you can see, again, I kind of class this as it has the same problem inherent as the A-shaped chord. As you get higher up and these frets get narrower and narrower, it actually becomes a bit trickier to do this little triangle arrangement as you get up through the high parts of the neck. So here I'm at fret 12, and that's quite a little bit of a finagle to try and get those ring finger and middle finger above each other. So again, the solution that I come up with is basically that I'm going to do almost like an A shape here from the D string, and then the ring finger covers the G, B, and E string. And now that pinky's got to come over like this. Okay, now this is probably the hardest one out of all 5 chords to turn into a bar chord with this fingering. One thing that we have to do with it is we have to sort of double joint the ring finger while the pinky is nice and curved. That pinky has to release the string below it, so it has to let that E string ring out, and you've still got to be able to hear that B string. So one little hint that I've got with this to try is that obviously, you know, with a lot of these chords we're dropping the wrist, and you know, so if you were playing a G shape, it would actually be advantageous to drop the wrist just to curl the fingers a bit more and get a bit more round the front. Again, dropping the wrist with the E shape, that's a good thing. Dropping the wrist with the C shape, that's a good one as well. But with the D, actually one thing that I've found is that if you straighten out that wrist, and you've still got to really curve that pinky, but watch this knuckle here, watch this side of my hand. You see how it's kind of collapsing towards the bottom of the neck. Like that. I don't really mind if my pointer finger is kind of resting against all of the strings, because it's not influencing the sound of the ring finger or the pinky. So the key thing for D is I've got to have something up on that D string. I've got to have my ring finger straight and my pinky must curve. So if I can see how my arm is sort of twisting back, I'm sort of tucking it into my body, keeping that wrist pulled back so I can really concentrate on pushing that pinky upwards so it becomes curved. Like that. That's often a good strategy to try and tackle this this chord shape. But be patient with yourself. It took me a good 2 months to get this one like that, and to try and get that E string. One of the things you can do when you're practicing is just make the shape, but really all you need to test out is just going to be, can that E string be heard? If that E string can be heard, you're good. If it can't, we're in trouble. So that's the first stage with Cage. This is what you have to do first to try and make use of this pattern. So a quick sneak peek of what I call horizontal caged. Why are these 5 shapes so useful? It's because if you lay them out horizontally along the neck, they will give you all of the possible positions for a major chord. So here's the C. And then the formula I use is quite a nice formula actually, in my opinion. I've got my ring finger here, and if I take that ring finger away and put my pointer there, now I make my next shape, so C to A. There's my A shape, and there's trying to capture that E string at the top. Now going to the G chord, the same formula works. I take my ring finger away, I put my pointer finger where my ring finger had been, and make that G chord now. This is again another C chord here. And then if I take my ring finger away and put my pointer there, that gives me now make an E shape. And the final one, this is the odd one out. My pinky here on the D string is the next root. Like that. So I replaced my pinky in the E shape as my E shape. I look for my pinky on the D string. I replace it with the pointer on the D string, and then make that shape there. And the final thing with this one is then to loop it all the way back round. It will go back from, after the D shape, it will go back to the C shape. I'll remove my pinky here, replace my pinky with the middle finger, and then I can make my C shape here. I'll see if I can play that properly. It's quite tricky on a Les Paul on your right thigh, but let's see what happens. One more time, third time lucky. There we go. So that's caged part 1. This would be what I call horizontal caged. C, A shape, G shape, E shape, D shape, and then it would go back to a C shape like that. Okay, so C shape, ring finger at fret 3, A shape, pointer at fret 3, G shape, ring finger at fret 8, E shape, pointer at fret 8, and then D shape, pointer at fret 10 on the D string. All right, so try those 5 chord shapes out. Convert the C, A, G, E, D. Convert those 5 into bar chords. Like that. And then lay them out end to end to achieve a horizontal covering of the entire fretboard that gives you all 5 of the principal shapes of C major. Okay, thanks for watching. Bye now.